Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule today.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Good, good. Hey, I wanted to touch base on some real estate related scams that seem to be rampant around here. We have the land sale scam, we have the vacation rental scam, and then we have the year-round rental scam. So first, let's touch on this land sale scam because it just affected us a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, so it's really fresh on my mind. So we can start there, and if you have any tips or anything for the general public as to how to protect themselves, whether they are the homeowner that owns the land or the potential person that's trying to buy the land. So just by way of background, the gentleman whose land was trying to be scammed said that I could speak freely about it. He owns a piece of property over on in South Dennis. We won't use the exact address. But I was contacted by someone who portrayed to be him through realtor.com. I engaged him over email, and he was trying to list this property and was very anxious to do so. Through conversation, before it got too far, I was telling an agent in the office about it. Gentleman walked in that we knew who knew the actual owner of the property. I suspected it was a scam. We reached out to the owner of the property, and he said it is absolutely a scam. The property is not for sale, and here we are. So this person portrayed to be themselves as the real owner. They set up an email address. They gave me a phone number. They wanted me to send a listing contract, and we would have been off and running with a fraudulent land listing. Just quite scary.
And they probably wanted you to do it quickly.
They do.
That seems to be the name of the game nowadays. With all the technology, it does make purchases a lot easier online. You don't have to do it face to face. And I think maybe as a result of the pandemic, we no longer know how to do business face to face, which is unfortunate. But like you said, the gentleman that walked in your office and just happened to know the actual owner, it's the old fashioned face to face stuff that really is beneficial. And, we see these scams all the time, whether, the gentleman who dropped $3,000 flying here from Ireland to rent a car, pull in the driveway to find out the house really wasn't for rent. These scam artists are making off with some big bucks. And really, like you alluded to, the best way to notice the scams is just having local personal knowledge. So I guess it's good for a gentleman like you in the real estate business that has local knowledge that, I know you're everywhere. You know who the players are. You've been doing it long enough that when something doesn't smell right.
Right.
But with all these pictures online, I bought my house 8 years ago and all sorts of pictures, the interior, exterior, still available. Throw in some Google Earth, the ability to make a fake email. You get information from the assessor's database, and boom, you have everything you need.
Yeah. This is not just affecting Dennis. It's affecting everywhere. I've got an agent on the Lower Cape. She got inquired about a property in Orleans, and then just 2 days ago there was another one in East Camp. Then another agent, there was a property over on Seaside that we had a buyer put in a cash offer on. And if it seems to be good to be true from a buyer's perspective, ask a lot of questions, because chances are there's something not right there. You can ask people for photo IDs to confirm who they are, because as you said, a lot of this is done over the internet. You may not meet the person in person, but you know better than I do how many fake IDs are out there and how difficult is it to make them. So
you get stacks every weekend from a liquor store. So, for $10 you get 3 IDs, some backup, and you're drinking at the local gin mill down the street. So
right, exactly. And the other tip, at least from our perspective, one of the things that I did when I had a funny feeling this was bogus is I looked at the assessor's record, which is online public information. Who owns the property? Tells you where they live. The phone number that they gave me was out of California, quote unquote. Well, the person lived in New England. He didn't live in California. So all of these things just started spinning on my wheels, saying something's not right here. And I went with my gut, and it turned out to be correct. So, if your gut instinct is telling you something's not right, question it. Ask a lot of questions. Certainly you want legal representation if you get anything under contract, no matter what. But really make sure, especially with vacant land, because it is rampant right now.
And one other thing I've seen too, Pat, is hey, give me 10% down, say it's $100,000 land deal. So boom, 10 grand's down. I'll wait the 6 months so the realtor doesn't get his percentage, and we'll do a private deal.
Yeah.
6 months passed, you're out 10 grand and that guy's gone.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
It's the 10 grand haul for a day's work really isn't bad at all. So they're creative, and it's not just real estate. I mean, it's
Yeah.
everything, and your due diligence is important. I was up last night doing some work on my computer. I get a text from American Express, fraudulent activity, call this number. Yeah, I don't think so. So I looked up the American Express number and called them, and sure enough, there was a fraudulent charge. This was all legitimate, but I wasn't just, dialing an 866 number because I got a text that said so. So
Right.
your own research is, and it was a $33 charge at a place my wife had purchased stuff before.
Yeah.
So it was all, it's scary. It really is. And you doing your homework is the key, especially, buying land when you're talking 6-7 figures.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And if somebody asks you to wire money, make a phone call, confirm the instructions, make sure that it's really who you're talking to and the instructions are legit, because there's a lot of wire fraud that's going on too.
Yeah, nobody's tried to buy a house with Amazon gift cards yet, have they?
Not yet, or Bitcoin, but we'll try. We'll see where it goes.
You never know. The creativity is beyond fathomable.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing to think, where I wanted to just touch on two other ones was the vacation rental scam. And, you mentioned early on that, a family had come over from Ireland and thought they had a great house. Again, if something seems too good to be true, ask questions, search the assessor's database, absolutely get a lease, make sure the lease matches, ask the questions. You can go online, you can punch in somebody's address and you can get the phone number for them. Call them and make sure that it's legit if you're going directly. If you're dealing with somebody like us, we have contracts with our owners, you're getting contracts, we're handling all the money, so there's a different level of comfort there.
It's like we've come full circle, in the quote unquote old days, which is my 6-year-old says is the 80s. You needed a travel agent, you needed a real estate agent to
Right.
to conduct business, to navigate the minefield. The internet came and cut a lot of that out, which,
Yeah.
Hey, great, I can do it on my own. I can save some money, but now we're coming back to the point, I think, where you have to entrust professionals. I mean, I won't jump on Airbnb and rent a house. Lord knows what you're going to end up with. I want to go through, a reputable company with somebody I can look in the face and you're going to set me up with a legitimate vacation. And I think that's, like I said, I think we've come full circle. We're back to, travel agents and real estate, what have you.
Right, exactly. And then just the last one to touch on, and then I have a question as to if somebody gets scammed, what are their options? But the last one that's out there is the yearly rental scam. And what they do is they're grabbing, again, listings offline that are for sale or had been sold in the past, and they're putting fake Craigslist ads out, and they're talking as if they're the person who owns the house. Well, there's a real estate sign out front. Just throw it. We fired them. And they try to engage them to get a lease. We've had cases where, fortunately, tenants would call and question it, and we'd say, no, it's a scam. And so they were saved before they spent any money on anything. But from the victim's perspective, somebody scammed out of money. Obviously, the first thing they're going to do is call the police. But is there really, what should they do from, let's say, the tenant or the person buying the property? What are their options if they're,
Well, they want to report it to the police. Either way, a police report will be generated and an investigation will be opened if there is a financial loss.
Okay.
And there's all sorts of avenues that would stem from there, depending on how the fraud takes place. If they're not out any money, then, we'll make an entry into our log, but there's really not a whole heck of a lot that we can do or trace. Just, the internet
Yeah.
affords so much anonymity. Or even phone calls, those voice over internet protocols, the VoIP
Yeah.
phone calls, you can't trace, you can't, they're the ones that do all those swatting, fake 911 calls that are untraceable. So, there's not, I hate to say, we really can't waste our time. There's so much of it that we'd never get
Right.
to it. There
Right.
is a internet fraud website, ic3.gov. And you can list any internet fraud there. And that, I believe, is monitored by the Federal Trade Commission, who handles a lot of the internet fraud. There are a bunch of different agencies depending on the nature of the scam, the nature of how much money you lose, all that stuff. The Secret Service is involved in computer stuff, the FBI, obviously, the Federal Trade Commission. The list goes on and on.
So really the victim's first call should be to the local police.
Yes, yeah, and we can steer them from there, whether or not a report's appropriate, which, we get a lot of times, oh, so you're not going to do anything about this? And fortunately, you're not out any money. You may have been inconvenienced and lost some time, but no, we don't have the resources. We don't have the tools, the time. Like you and I were talking earlier, there's 3 of us patrolling the whole town right now. So it's, limited resources. So that's why, we won't look into it. Obviously, if folks are out a lot of money, we're going to do what we can to help them out.
Right, exactly. And then as far as, a homeowner, somebody shows up and says, hey, I'm here for my vacation, that sort of thing. Sorry, it's the same thing, go back to the police and explain what happened and see what the paths are.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've pulled up and there's it's not a station wagon anymore, but the SUV with everything strapped to the top, the kids in the back crying, the wife all mad, and the husband there going, what do I do?
Yeah.
Exactly. For the week, dude, there's not a room on this sandbar.
Exactly.
It's heartbreaking, but we do have that conversation more than I'd care to offer. But it also goes for, advertising. It's some of these hotels that advertise, they take pictures of other hotels.
Right.
Families pull up, they call us and say,
Right. Exactly.
Unfortunately, stupidity is not a crime, and we can't go after people that are just being stupid. But
exactly.
No, I guess the bottom line is due diligence. You really have to do your homework. And if you don't have the time or the resources to travel to do your homework, you need to hire a professional who can do it for you.
Right, exactly. Well, Ryan, I know you've got a very busy day, and I greatly appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your time today. And I want to also thank you and the rest of the officers here on the Cape, who we're very fortunate that we have such great police here on Cape Cod, keeping us safe on a year-round basis. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for everything, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully I will see you on the soccer field and not at somebody's rental who's disappointed or something like that.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Take care.